topic. You should actually do it.
All right.
Go. You're up.
Well, guys, it's a bit of a change of pace with the old dog leading the way, but my name's Juan Merchant. Welcome to Selling 3199. With me is Josh Merchant. How are you, Josh?
I'm good. This feels weird. You're introducing the Selling Frankston and he calls it Selling 3199. He's already stuffed the title.
Selling Frankston. That's what it's about, baby.
What are we?
We sell the postcode 3199. But anyway, good
This
start.
is a good start. No, it's actually a lot better. What are we talking about today, Dave?
Mate, we are talking about keeping it real
Keeping it real.
in real estate, yes.
Yes. And what do you mean to the viewers out there? Like, how can you keep it real in real estate?
Keeping it real. Well, it's very interesting. At the moment, we've got a couple of governing measures that are coming in place. So keeping it real, they want transparency with the disclosed sale price, which I believe is a good thing. So
when has that come through?
Yes, it has. So you have to disclose within 7 days.
As of now?
As of, I think, don't quote me, but I know that they've just come out and said you can't undisclose a price. So what I mean by that
that's unfortunate. I'll tell you why, because I just had a buyer ask that for a property we sold in Langwarrin.
Yeah.
That's a bit awkward.
So we can't, we have to now by law come out and say if it's sold for 1.5, we've got to advertise it. And there's some reasons why that's
do you think that's it? Can I just let's go macro, break it down micro. Do you think having let's look at it from a consumer standpoint. I think I've seen a lot of media speculation saying it's the agent who's withholding prices, this, that, and the other. However, from an advertising standpoint, it doesn't help us. Realestate.com, as soon as we undisclose it, goes to the back of it. It doesn't go as a featured.
It doesn't reward you,
It doesn't reward us on
It doesn't reward the agent. So you could get a great price. I've had this before. I'm going to be open with you. I had a property that I got told not to disclose the price. I'm going to be upfront. It was an MBA guy who bought the property. Andrew Bogart brought a property on the Peen Highway at auction. I'm going to be upfront straight away. Bang.
You're right. We're keeping it real. We're not keeping it not real.
I'm going to keep it real. He specifically said, please do not disclose the price, which I didn't. Now, someone who was at the crowd, my assistant, may have taken the call. Now, they had no inclination it was Bogart that brought the property.
So every time after an auction, just for anyone out there, you get the RERV, you get realestate.com and you get domain that call you or text you and say, hey, what was the result? If you are on the listing, even they can just call your team. If the listing agent isn't available, they'll call anyone to find out the result. Or they could have had a neighbour in the crowd that's notified someone high up.
Now, interesting enough, and I'll say this, I could have, because I got a call from an editor that day. Hi, Juan. Great result. I could see that you've sold the one in Seaford. It's the biggest result on the peninsula at auction. Would you like to elaborate? No comment. Didn't mention anything. Now, I could have, because I gave my word to Andrew Bogart. I said, I'm not going to reveal who the price is, who the person was. I could have easily said, yeah, Andrew, I'm not going to. And then basically come out and said, hey, I sold the property at auction. It was a huge
to a famous
NBA star, blah, blah, blah. Never did. The next day, that night, flew out to Arac, Sunday morning, Sunday Herald Sun. There's in the property confidential guide had Andrew Bogart bought this property. And I'm like, how did that get out? Because and there was no, I could have put my name to it.
Let's be honest.
And I could have got a lot of fanfare with that. I could have got easily.
You would have got a lot of publicity. Let's keep it real though. This guy, wait, was he at the auction?
No, he had someone bidding on his behalf, but he was signing the contracts. Now, I don't know whether someone in my team had reported it, but the problem was, and this is what I'm trying to say, when a client says, please do not disclose that I've purchased this property, there's a couple of reasons why. One, they could be doing it as a flip. Two, they don't want personal information out in the public. And three, it's their privacy. So I would always say, yep, sure, disappointed that I can't reveal this. However, I understand.
Well, you get that.
You respect that. Now, I got slammed for that. Now, had I had the opportunity to put it, if I had my time again, when someone says to me that.
Well, guess what?
Well, now it's factual.
Beautiful. You're like, it doesn't matter. I'm just closing it whether or not you like it.
Well,
7 days.
It's within 7 days. It has to be reviewed.
But it actually doesn't. this comes back to the point. They've pinned it kind of against agents, but it's not. Every buyer that's out there is eventually a seller. So let's really break that down. They're saying they're helping buyers, right? But a buyer ends up becoming a seller eventually. It seems like they're just trying to cater for the initial in. It's no different to what they've just done with the negative gearing, and all the, all this CGT, all this sort of stuff. They're anyone who's already in it and understands the game better. They're just trying to make it easier for the buyer, but they're forgetting one thing. These buyers are eventually going to sell. It's no different to they want people to buy new properties, investors to buy new properties. But what happens when you then go to sell that property next time? You don't get the same benefits. You're not going to get the investor pool for that property to buy it. So
it's interesting. I see both sides, and being in it for a long time now, 2.5 decades. I see the benefits of why. Like, for example, we've had some clients in the past that have said, look, they brought the property, it was online. They said, please do not disclose, understandably. Yeah. Now, just for those people out there, just so you know, as agents, historically, we have to revert back to the last three months. When you do a statement of information, you've got to go back in the last 6 months of transactions that is comparable. When you're advertising a property online, you must have three similar properties. Now, what people don't realize is after 3 months, that information, even though you've undisclosed it, it pops up in the search section. Because after 3 months, it gets released.
The Value General.
The Value General releases it. So that does become in some ways, open
it's already
data.
becoming public data already.
It's already
after
becoming
3 months.
so for this, but you see some people that might buy a property and prepared, they've got their own trades. They're flipping it. So they might have bought it off market. Even off market, they can it will be revealed in 3 months' time. So anyone could Google this sort of stuff. But you know the thing is, if someone buys a property, say it's $1 million, and then the plus stamps, it's it's $10.50. Then they look at it and they're putting a full reno into it. They might be spending $250,000 internally, say another 100. Externally, that's $350. It owes them 1.4. Then they put it on the market and they're like wanting to chase 1.5 to 1.65. And then buyers can see, oh well, we only paid $1 million of it only 12 months ago,
and they want to profit X.
And they want to profit, blah blah blah. So I can understand why some clients don't want this.
But not only that, what about I've had a lot of buyers that will go, hey, I don't want my family to know what I've spent. I actually just don't want anyone to know where my cash position is.
Yeah.
Hey, if I live here, that's great.
The other one that's really important is those people that could be in a deceased estate. I've seen this on numerous occasions where the estate, there's been an objection, or there could be siblings or stepsisters or stepbrothers that want a piece of the pie of the person whose estate it was. And the actual biological kids are saying, hang on, we don't want it to be disclosed to anyone.
Yeah.
Now, once that property is sold, it's going to be made public anywhere. So the fact is, they're going to contest probate and all of it. Not contest probate; they'll contest the will, and this can cause some upsets. So I don't know whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing.
I think it's a catch-22. I think the two new rules that they've brought out, one, the disclosure of prices, doesn't that help buyers enough to know if a property that goes to auction, whether or not it is underquoted, is if obviously an owner, you're quoting 7 to 770 and the owner's wanting 900 or 850 and it's way above, and you're just putting it very low to then generate a heap of interest. And all those buyers that have budgets up to say they've got between 7 and 770, they think they're a shot. They pay for a conveyancer review, a building and pest, and all that. Now with the disclosure of the results, though, that should give buyers ample amount of information.
Well, the buyers will know exactly where it's at. Now, what's really interesting, and this is where it's keeping it real in this market.
Can I have a question? Yeah, I was going to say, this market, I reckon you're on the same page.
Keeping it real, when you are on the market in a market where at the moment clearance rates, there's been a shift, and Melbourne was under 50% over the weekend, being a King's birthday. But collectively, if you look at all the withdrawn properties, the ones that have been passing in, and then the sold results before and after auction, where if 1,000 homes were going to market this time last year, over 800 were selling. Now it's just over 500. So buyers are a little bit more fickle, but it comes back to the price. So I always say to my clients that are selling, the sellers, the vendors, keep it real. If you want that Hail Mary price, if you're buying and selling in this market, like right now, you've got to give clients hope, but more importantly, you got to give the buyers hope to get. You need foot traffic through your property.
Well, I was going to say there's not as many buyers out there, so it makes sense organically.
Yeah.
Can
I ask a question? And what would you say that's contributed to the lack of buyers coming through at the moment?
Well, just the confidence in the marketplace and in the media. I think you've got 4 cash rate increases that we saw this.
Wasn't it 3?
No, 4 consecutive. You had late last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there's been 4 consecutive. If you look at that and you go, okay, then you had a fuel crisis. We're in a cost of living crisis. You had a war. You had all these distractions. This sounds bad. This is a lot of, and then you had a budget that just basically, and it hasn't gone through, but it created a heap of speculation, and the investors go, well, I actually don't know how I want to purchase this now, because if they actually don't get this through, I've gone and purchased in a trust, then I've paid all this money, or I have to set up a company. That's a lot of wasted time. You may as well just hold back, yeah? And just wait. Whilst the market's already coming down, and that's what they already see, the market's already coming off a little bit. And I've said to a lot of people, we're talking selling Frankston, right? Greater Melbourne didn't perform this well. If we look at statistically how Frankston and Frankston South performed last year,
it was abnormally
incredible.
Huge.
So, and that contributes to what they're doing in Frankston, the hospital upgrade, all these new places and amenities going into the CBD, and Coringal, Henry's open. Like, there's a lot of contributing factors as to why that went through the roof.
Well, it went up.
The beach, you had all these interstate investors looking at Melbourne going, it's at the bottom of its buying cycle. We need to buy up there. Where should we go? Let's look an hour out from the metro train line. What's on the inside of a freeway? Bing, Frankston.
Yeah.
How good's that? So
no doubt
what goes up must come down eventually.
Well, keeping it real, I think.
Unless you're in Queensland.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But I think that the other big thing that a lot of people don't realise, and I did say it in one of my podcasts very early this year, what the prediction was, and it's actually planning out as what I anticipated.
What did you predict? What did we predict? I
actually predicted that it would flatline and maybe come back a bit, and we are seeing that. One thing that I know is a big contributing factor is, and we still haven't progressed to this yet. We're 5 months away, and that's a state election here in Victoria. So we've had Labor that's been in power for, I think, 3 or 4 terms. That's coming up 28th of November. So generally speaking, a month out before, and you got to think about this logistically, right? They say in spring and in autumn, you do the results of real estate. 80% of the transactions are done in those months.
Yeah.
So 80% get done in 6 months worth of work. So you talk about the big boys that are uptown. They'll take extended leave. In the middle of the year, they'll go over to France, Aspen. They'll go ski slopes. The ski slopes.
Yeah.
In summer, they'll be down in their holiday houses in Sorrento and whatnot for 5-6 weeks. Right. So they will have at least 10 to 12 weeks off. Now they'll do the bulk of their work in that springtime. Now, this spring coming is going to be a very interesting one in Victoria. Let me tell you, we've got a state election on our doorstep. We've got a government right now on the nose. And let me tell you, a lot of small businesses, medium businesses are unhappy with what's happening. Because prices, wages, everything's going up, inflation's going up, and the profitability is just not there. It's not sustainable. And then when you have a government that's putting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, it's becoming quite a how can I say it? It's a bit of a melting pot at the moment. It's a bit like the frog in the pot. The pot is actually boiling at the moment, I would say, in Victoria right now, where people are starting to get jacked off and really disappointed with what's going on. And that is something that, if there is a change of government, even if there isn't, what happens is with an election, it always happens. The last election was like, oh yeah, there's going to be a possible change, and then it didn't happen, and then it was like, okay, let's go back to work. We know what the better the devil you know. Okay, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So people just go, okay, how do we pivot? How do we make money?
Well, I think, and we can probably talk from that and our experience with just even strategy, and if you are looking to sell, how that sort of works. But the biggest driver for anyone is certainty.
Correct.
We see it, right? You have a property that goes to auction, that uncertainty, but it's the fear of missing out, and that auction environment, which creates a high level of uncertainty, which is a big driver. It also creates a lot of certainty to know that, hey, the property is probably going to be sold on that day, if not before. So if you are a buyer, get through that house if you really like it. But right now in this market, you've just said there is a lot of uncertainty out there. So if you look at why the foot traffic isn't there, it's just the uncertainty.
Yeah.
But you got to create, as agents, we've got to create that certainty.
You got to keep it real. So this is where I think, and this is what I firmly believe, the new rule that's coming out with 1st of October, it's going to come into play. So basically springtime, you're going to have to declare 1 week out. You got an auction campaign, generally runs for 4 weeks. The first 2 to 3 weeks, you're sort of getting a feel for where the market is. So say it's like, you got a price point of say $9.75 to $10.50. So you're getting those buyers just under $1 million to over $1 million. And you might have only had 20 groups through. And the feedback's been sort of mid-nines. The owners have got $9.75 to $10.50. If you said to a buyer 1 week out, all right, guys, if we were to set a reserve, and that was one of the scripts that I got taught very, very early in my time. When I became an auctioneer, I went over to New Zealand and I spoke to a guy who was a fantastic gentleman, Phil his name was, and he said one of the best questions he would ask a buyer in a crap market or a good market, hey, we've got this going to auction, what would you pay for it? And this is when you had the plus range. So say it was like 200 plus. That's 200. Okay. So he would say to his clients, look, I've got someone at 200, but I've also got 3 at 190. Now, luckily he would say, look, you can either put it on for 190 or you can set the reserve at 200. I can give you certainty at 190, you're going to have probably more people putting their hand up. If you put 200, you've only got one, because 10 grand back then was a big difference. So he would say, so the reserve, we'll set the reserve at 190. He would, and I started doing this probably when the GFC hit, and we'll start doing this a little bit more, I think.
Well, I think if you
so
said,
just let me finish. What we used to do is I used to have a blackboard. So at an auction, I'd roll up, and leading up to the auction, you didn't have to reveal what the reserve was. It was on the day. Now you have to reveal the reserve. Now, in a position where we've got $9.75 to $10.50, most people are going to put $10.50 as a reserve at the start. Now, those buyers that are sitting just around $1 million, and if it's a market that's sort of slowing down, like understandably, when the market's going up, that's irrelevant because the market's going to take off. But when you're in a market now where it's flat or it's not buoyant, you set a high reserve, come auction day, you'll have people that go, I'm not even going to turn up. And then when it sells or, it passes in at 985 and then there's a buyer that comes in and says, look, I'm happy to pay 995 unconditional. And then he goes, well, look, all right, well, I'll take that. Because they're looking to unlock and go to another area. Those buyers that said, oh, we won't be there, they go, oh, shit, we should have turned up. Yeah. And that's where I think the biggest key that I'm looking at right now as a buyer.
It's confidence.
It's confidence. We have to talk and face-to-face with more buyers. We need to sit them in a room and say, hey, guys, just so you know, our owner's going to sell. And when we tell them that with confidence, they're going to be there. How many times have you said, oh, well, Josh, we're not going to be there? How many times have you had buyers say that?
I think the best thing you can do if you're running an auction campaign, if you're a seller, if you know you're going to have multiple people, like what you just said, at a level, it almost, as soon as you activate or give them that confidence, you could just wait till the auction day, or you can call them up and say, hey, we've got a very realistic reserve, that sort of price that you were talking. If you're there on auction day, you'll be a good chance. You got to give them hope. You got to create the hope. You got to create the confidence. Yes, you might. If you've got 2 or 3 others, hey, the good thing is the owner is going to be selling it on the day. And just because there are 2 or 3 other buyers doesn't mean they're going to necessarily show up on the day of auction. They might have gone through a house the night before, bought something. There's all these other homes on the market. It's about strategizing with yours. A question on that, because we have said, no, I just want to, just before you jump in on that, the one thing that I am starting to see, because the market is definitely flatlining, the foot traffic is probably the exact same as what's happening with the clearance rate.
Absolutely.
It's dropped off probably 30, 40% comfortably. and at specific price points, even probably more.
Yep.
When you go higher up in value, but how, because you've got this underquoting, actually not even, let's take out those. If you're an owner and you see all these last 6 months of sales, you're like, gee, that's a really good sale. I think my property compares to that one really well. I want to get the same result. How would you be saying to someone to achieve a premium right now when the market is coming off? You're not dealing with as many buyers as what we had in a buoyant, like what you just said. When the market's hot, you can probably put it and aim a little bit higher than the previous sales. How are you educating people around that?
In that sense, Josh, I tend to find that first price point is where I'll say to my clients, that's where we're going to say to buyers, we're selling. Okay, so in a market, and right now what we're finding is when we say to a client, look, we're going to have a range, can we get that bottom end as permission to sell? Most of them go, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, because it's about keeping it real. Now, if I said to every owner, give me your property, I'll sell it and I'll get you a great price. I'll sell every property above what the current market is without question. And a lot of agents I think there's going to be a lot of smart agents in the next 3 to 6 months pivot really well around this auction rules. I firmly believe that the importance of actually educating your buyers pre-auction. Now, in markets that have been bad, what I used to do, and I'll be upfront, I would get my buyers that I have, I'd say, look, I'd like to catch up and have a coffee with you. Can you come to the office? I'd sit there and whiteboard with them and say, guys, look, I can't reveal to you what the reserve is because I'm working for the seller. But I'm going to give you the.
Well, now we can. That's the best thing. Well, actually, this is a good question. I've just on it.
Can I just finish?
Sorry. Finish.
What I would then say is, guys, there's 3 things that can happen in an auction. Now, one, and I say this to my sellers, guys, one, we sell it at auction under the reserve and we get, it goes market value plus. 2, passes in on a live bid. Or 3, passing on a vendor bid. Now, the key that you want as a buyer is to show that you're there to put your hand up.
I don't know about you. If they rocked up at the office and they're having a coffee with me about this property, they're pretty damn serious. I wouldn't even.
Absolutely.
I'd know that.
But the first thing I'm doing is I've had people, I can tell you now, in the period of 17 and 18, it was a really tough market back then. This is before COVID. They had the changing of the lending, et cetera, and there was a lot of problems. A lot of people couldn't get finance serviceability, et cetera. And so I had to get buyers in to coffee shops and actually sit with them.
That's great.
And say, guys, have you ever bid at an auction? You know what? Most people haven't bid at an auction. So I would have to educate them. And it was, but look, you're going to be sitting there. I'm going to be calling for a bid. You're going to be sitting there going, mate, look, don't feel uncomfortable. I'll call for a bid from you. But I need you to know, if I can't get if you've got your hand up and you're the highest bidder, you'll get first rights to negotiate with the owner. And the amount of people that actually said, well, look, thank you for explaining that because we didn't know what would happen. And I'm like, yeah, so what we're going to do is you're preempting what could happen. Now, in some situations, I had buyers that would turn up and then there was other people that would turn up and it bidded and it exceeded the owner's expectations substantially. Then there was some that was tough. We weren't getting the interest, but you'd have one buyer and all you had to do was say, hey, I'm going to put a vendor bid. And then I need you to make sure you put your hand up because you'll get first rights to negotiate. And they purchased. So to me, it's really important to invest in the buyers because in a market like now, keeping it real, if you think that, I'll just put, as the agent, like, I'm telling you, everyone has to get on their bike and start talking to these buyers in a real urgency and actually say to them, hey guys.
Good little tip is if you really want to know if a buyer's serious about a house, do a time that's not convenient for anyone. Yeah. Do a Friday night, do a Sunday morning, do an inspection. You'll very quickly see if someone's really serious about the house. Yep. Because the easiest way is to do an open home, think that is the best. It is a very good tool. It is the best tool to see where the current interest is for your property. I do think that is. Yep. But I think if you're from a buyer standpoint, you get someone who's like, hey, I want to do a Sunday. You know that they've got pretty clear motivation to be buying a house.
Well, every Sunday, it's interesting.
Or even a Friday night.
Every Sunday inspections we've done this year have resulted in sales.
An outcome. Yeah.
An outcome. So we've had offers, so to me, in a marketplace.
Or a Friday. I did a Friday afternoon and got an offer. So you look at that and you go.
So you look at it. I remember when I first started in real estate, and I remember hearing a guy. He said to me, "Book an appointment at 5 o'clock. Find out where these guys are, and just say, look, we need an appointment at 5." And they'll be serious if they say, "Oh, look, I won't have lunch." So they'll take an hour off. They'll eat at their desk. And then drive from the city to come to Melbourne, from Melbourne to Frankston South. They drove an hour, and you knew straight away, like these guys, they actually sacrificed it. When they go, "Oh, can you make it at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday? Oh, I'm catching up with a friend, and I'm having a barbecue, and I'd like you to be there at about 7:15. I say, "Are you ready to buy?" We're just having a bit of a look, we just, fuck me, pre-qualify. I mean, us agents, and I'll be up front, we don't get paid until we sell a property. And this is the other thing, keeping it real. You know how giving this industry is?
Yeah, I mean, no one cares about the actual agents.
I'm just saying, as an industry, we give more than what we get back. I'm telling you. We are a very giving, information-led industry.
Yeah, you got some shit though. You do have if we're keeping it real, there are a lot of people that give bullshit advice.
Absolutely.
But what I will say about that is we are probably in the best industry where if we communicate, we educate, we give a lot of our time to people consistently. Does it mean we win everything? No. Not a chance.
But keeping it real, to me, guarantees us dealing with people that are selling. And I'll be upfront, I don't want properties that are just sitting there dormant. And keeping it real. Like if the owners are like, "Oh, we want you to work, and you're doing all these inspections," and at the end of the day, our advice would be, "Hey, we've done all we can at the price point you've done. Now, if you're not repositioning or resetting or understanding what the market conditions are doing, why don't you go out on a Saturday and have a look at how many people are out there?"
I just think maybe they're a sucker for punishment, or they're hoping for a holy grail. Sometimes you can pluck that maybe in a hot market. You can get a bit of luck, but you're not going to get a great result. If you're doing the same thing expecting a different result, and you've been at the same sort of strategy for the last 8 to 12 weeks, when a market's coming back, and that's what I was trying to say, I do think you can't be looking at past relevant data. You've got to be looking at right now factor in. I'd be just on that. If you are looking to sell, start to factor in a little bit more of a decline. Don't just look and go, pin my price in here based on something that sold 3 months ago. Well, 3 months ago, there wasn't a cash rate increase. There wasn't a budget release that has created an investor market to walk off, not the face of the earth, but they've dropped. Just hear me out. Their serviceability's come right back.
Yep.
That's what banks are going to them and going, well, you were going to spend $1 million. Now you're going to spend 800. They're taking a big step back, which means one thing. You're going to have to look at that and go, your interest or your demand isn't going to be as high. Yeah. That's not a bad thing. It's just how you strategize and put your property to the market. You can still create a very good strategy and a very good result. Doesn't matter of the market. Question, what sort of properties are selling really well? What are you seeing?
I firmly believe turnkey properties that have been renovated on good sized blocks are always going to be a premium, even ones with potential. So they could be effectively an older home. I think with the
off main, I feel like there's still a lot of good movement. If you're on a big main road, buyers are very picky. So they've got more variety because they're not as far and few. Sometimes, it's creating that fear of missing out for specific homes, but they are. I'm seeing a lot of great results that aren't necessarily on main roads, and they are just like you said, turnkey, good land size, or original.
If you're in a bowl of a cord, you set off the main road. They're still going well. I think the ones that are really attracting good prices is the ones where the owners are realistic. So the property is worth 1.5, and they're like, you know what, we're happy to sell it at 1.4. We understand where the market is right now. We know that in 3 weeks' time it could be at 1.4, but advertise it at a substantially lower level where we know the interest is, and get those buyers in, and then they're getting way above what they want. So that can happen in any market, but it's just getting the sellers that are understanding the situation and understanding the market and keeping them real in today's terms. What happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I mean, I've had clients go, I had an offer of, this in COVID. And I'm like, well, mate, COVID was, I don't know, how many years ago was that?
But when you're on the market, would you not argue that that's their own little subcategory market? They're their own
Absolutely.
market.
This is you're in control of your own destination.
Well, if you've launched a property and you've only had 10 groups through and you've been on for a couple of weeks, then you got an issue. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. If you're not looking at it like that and you're not going, okay, how can I look at, if you've got a lot of foot traffic, then you're on. And your visibility is correct, then you're good to go. But if you're not, then it's like, okay, well, we talk about not being, we're giving, we're educating. It's whether or not the owner wants to take that advice. But I don't know. I do think that it can be, it's a hit and miss when the market's coming off, but we're still seeing very good prices. I think it's hard for people to factor in that little bit of a loss.
I think there's going to be a lot more movement in the principal residence. So what's going to happen is, I know, and I was talking to my old business partner who's, Macca, who's up in Queensland. We're talking about real estate because he still has, he looks down here and he's always got a, eye on the peninsula of what's going on. And we're just talking about, settlements because down here, settlements are sort of at the moment, like when it was really, really hot, like this time last year, 30, 60 days was pretty much the norm. At the moment, we're seeing 90, 120, 150 day settlements. Talking to him up in Queensland, and mate, he's up Runaway Bay, up around Coomera Waters, in between Brisbane and Gold Coast. Mate, 30 days is the average. Like if you do 60 or 90, that's abnormal up there. Now, there's so much money flooding into Queensland.
Yeah.
My concern that I have with this state election, and mark my words, I hope I'm not right.
Shouldn't be a concern. We should
but
hopefully
I would
get the right
hope to
people in.
think that a change of government might reinstill some hope and confidence. But we saw last election what happened. There was a mass exodus out. Now, there's mass exodus of money going out. So we're talking really good business people, people with a lot of money moving up to Queensland. And there's uber wealth right now. Like, let's be honest, like Turax, the elite of Australia. You've got, a handful of people that are the richest of richest, right? But the amount of money that's pouring up to Queensland right now, it's become a tech hub. Brisbane has.
Why wouldn't you move up there?
Sunny days. I mean, look, here in Melbourne, it's beautiful. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm hoping for the benefit of our state and for the people that we see some changes and some confidence. Because at the moment, that's something that really is lacking for some of these sellers at the moment. And some buyers are like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
There's a lot of hesitation.
There's a hesitation. The government's bloody been a big play in that.
The best thing you can do as a seller is provide a high level of certainty in a low confidence market.
Yeah.
So if you are looking to sell, be very clear. Hey, be market led for the first week or two. Don't just guesstimate though. We have the ability to get buyers through even buyers agents and be able to get clear figures on where they see value. So if you're not actually getting some people through, understanding the market, understanding feedback, and then you go to market and you go, oh crap, we're a bit too high. Adjust very quickly though. Like adjust as quick as you can, because
great tip, Josh. I love it.
Well, if you're not doing that, I think at the end of the day, you're just going to sit there. Josh, and your first week, we've seen it. Your first week is your highest visibility on realestate.com.
Yep.
Unless you change the price. Sometimes that can be that day or the next day can be the biggest viewership.
Absolutely.
And
we've seen it. Like the marketing gets the attention, the price range, the advertised price gets the audience, gets the foot traffic, gets the buyers in. Now, if your price, you might have the best. We might have a guy who, how good was that? I saw an AI generated guy who did that Iron Man.
That was cool.
And it was really cool going. It was really blitz. Now, you can do marketing. You could do 100,000 marketing campaign, spend $100,000. But if your price isn't where it should be, doesn't matter. You might get all the attention, but the foot traffic coming through, you won't sell the property.
I'll be real. I reckon you're way better off. You could have a property that's an absolute dud. Say it's just been left alone, neglected. It was an investment. The tenants left it absolutely horrible. And you just go, well, based on presentation, we're just going to deduct 5% off that price. You're probably going to land where you should be, even if you, and as long as you're quoting and going, hey, I'm really realistic. I just need this gone.
Yep.
I'm set the reserve at the start of the range.
Yep.
And let's watch it fly.
Yep.
That happens. And it's funny because when you take out, this is what you got to look at.
The emotion.
Do you want one person making an offer on your house or do you want multiple? Because I know which one I'm choosing. I know for a fact I'd love multiple people. If someone came to me and said, hey, we've got 3 people in the same vicinity talking the same sort of level, then you're like, okay, as the agent, your energy's up, your confidence is up. You can tell your client, hey, we're going to be selling. It's just a matter of where we land, guys. How good's this? It's not, guys, hey, the market, we've only had one person come through.
Not only that, the bite, you could see the straw bale rolling across and you can see
the dust collecting on the
agent's like, oh, hi, how you going? They're really, mate, as an auctioneer, there's nothing better than when you walk in to the forum. Like I see it as like a little forum, you walk in. And it was funny because I remember one of my best clients, funny enough, Mike and Chris, that one in that we took to auction end of last year. He actually said, he goes, one, I want to give you full confidence when you go out the front to sell my home. I need to know what the best reserve, best strategy. How do I get people to bid? And I said, well, one, the auctioneer, you could tell whether the auctioneer is going to be, if he's up and about, you know that he's got a pretty realistic reserve. He knows he's going to put on a show. He's going to get a great result. He's already preambling what to say and
he's happy because he knows he's going to get
look, the auctioneer gets paid regardless. Whether you sell it or not, he's getting paid. But you'll generally tell by the mood of the auctioneer whether the reserve's been set too high because no one's bidding, or 2, it's selling and he's going to have fun out there.
Yeah.
And to me, I always say give people hope.
Do you know how fun it is though, as just for context on being the agent side, to watch I haven't been an auctioneer, but it is an amazing experience when you're bouncing around, you're seeing people bid, you're seeing people fight for something that's wanted.
Yeah.
And then the person who buys it, how excited they are when they actually get to put the sold sticker on the day, champagne in their hand, they walk away and they're just excited. Everyone's clapping them. Everyone shakes their hand. Every neighbor goes up and says, congrats. Just like, I live down, waking into the neighborhood. Yeah. It is such an exhilarating and exciting time. The best results actually came from the owner though.
Yeah.
They listened to the advice. They took on every piece of the information. If they were market led at the start and they priced it correctly, they're going to get a great result. And that's
keeping it real. The hero of the story is the seller. Always has been, always will be. Us agents will assist and negotiate and market and get you a premium, but it's the seller that has the huge part in this.
I think I said a couple of years ago to an owner, I said the same. I think we had no one through. I said, and he goes, oh, well, how are we going to get to the top end of the range? And I said, I don't know. That's like holding my hand behind my back and just letting the punches come at me. I said, you tell me how are we going to get it? Because last I checked, you're the one who wanted that price. We had to quote what you wanted. The market's clearly not there. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to stand around naked and do a photo shoot and maybe that'll attract some buyers? It's not going to work like that, guys. It's not what happens.
We'll get your shirt off, Josh. You got the abs and the big arms. But
this is what I'm trying to say. It is all the seller. The seller can be either
the hindrance or the hero. And I think you don't want to be a roadblock. You don't want to be that obstacle. And a lot of the times, I get it. There's times where there's a price they've got to achieve or whatever. But if it's not there after a month or two and you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, it's a level of insanity.
Just another thing. Yep. Now, sometimes I know, look, we never put a cap on a price. I think at the end of the day, sometimes you can exceed. Like we said, when you got competition, the sky is the limit. I shouldn't say it like that, but it can be. If you've got 4 or 5 people, you saw that your best clients. We had a reserve that was 400 below what it ended up selling for. And it was one of the best.
Result.
Yeah. And you look at that. I mean, there's property next door that can't sell at the moment, and I think that's got a way better.
Yeah,
floor plan, and
once again, they've gone in too high.
Yeah,
they've started too high, and they can't sell it, and now it's there's a lot of these properties on the market at the moment, and this is why.
Well, this is back to my point. What do you think? Because agents go in and I know owners go, I think you're low, you're low bowling if we're conservative. And I sit there and I go, the worst actual thing you would do as an owner would be if you're going to market, different story if you're selling it off market. You never know who that agent is selling to. You might have a motivated interest in getting a rent roll or this, that, and the other. If you're going to market and you have a very realistic quote guide, say you've got all these agents in and they've said, hey, I see it. there's two agents, they're pretty young, they don't have many runs on the board, and they go, oh, it's 1 to 1 1. One goes, it's 1 1 to 1 2. And then you got the most experience, and he comes and goes, oh, no, it's probably more 950 to a mil, and I'd probably be on the impression to be quoting 9 to 990 and selling inside that range. And if you give me that level of confidence, now it's very easy to go with the hopeful, wishful agent who's young, give him a shot, but then you might end up just keep pulling back.
Oh, look, we're seeing
you're unpeeling these layers.
There's 6 properties at the moment that we pitch for.
It pisses me. I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah.
This pisses me off because you're playing with people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
And I really dislike, we're not the governors of price.
Do you know how long it takes to prepare a home for sale, to maintain it, to keep it to that level of standard? After 4 to 6 weeks, owners get jacked. If they've got kids, it's not a home. You're in a display home for pretty much that time frame. And what we see is so many owners, and this is the other thing. Like I've sold people's homes. And I've been on the market where I've had a couple where they go, well, we don't want to talk about property because every single person I'm talking to is going, I can't believe you haven't sold. Well, fuck, have you told them that you wanted too much? Have you ever said that, maybe the market's coming in here and you're wanting here? The reality is this: if people become reclusive, they don't want to, because you know what? Our homes are our castles. We're emotionally attached to it. We are very invested in it. And I see so many people put so much effort into it.
Well, think about it. You work your ass off.
You work your ass off. You're paying, tax-free your mortgage. And when it's time to sell, it's the only tax-free haven investment that you get here in Australia, tax-free. So when you sell, all the profit goes to you. Yes, you'll pay stamp duty on the way back out.
I want one thing to just inject on this, and then you can keep going. You're emotionally invested in your house.
Correct.
Your PPR. You live in it. You love it. You understand it better than anyone else. It's our job as agents to try and reflect that, but we're not going to nail that. And in a market where it's very logical thinking now, you want to create an emotional environment. You need multiple people to get emotional for it, not just one. You might get lucky, but
well, we've seen where we predominantly are in Frankston South. We never competed against Mount Eliza because the Mount Eliza it was a step up. Right. So this time last year, property were going really, really well. I tracked the market in Mount Eliza end of last year. It was tailing off. Right now, Mount Eliza has been unlocked as a suburb where people that would generally go to Frankston South can go, shit, I can go now into Mount Eliza and buy there. And have that village lifestyle, have that Mount Eliza.
When 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 700 square metre properties are selling for under 1.2, you know that there's a genuine.
So genuinely, people that are in Frankston South are like, oh yeah, but my house is worth this because this sold for, and I'm like, hang on, that sold 2 years ago. 2 years ago, there's properties in Mount Eliza. People paid 1.4 to 1.5. And they're now selling it for 1.2. They're actually taking a hit. So understand what's around you.
But it's not
the whole peninsula is being unlocked for price, so you can move in and buyers now, they would come into Frankston South and they would only be looking in Frankston South. Now they can go, oh shit, we can go to Langwarrin, we can go to Mount Eliza. Oh wow, oh we can even go to Mornington. How's that, Mount Martha? So all of a sudden, the scope has been.
What we're going to do next week, because we get this information through realestate.com, and I think it'd be really, really important for the buyers, the sellers to see it. We're going to go through, because we see where every other, when you're looking, say you're looking Frankston South, we get to see the top 5 other suburbs that these buyers are looking. We're going to reveal them, and we'll do it for Frankston and Frankston South, because I think it's really important. You do see that. We will always have Mount Martha, Mornington. If you're in Frankston South, Mount Martha, Mornington. If you're Frankston, you're getting Seaford, and Seaford's value for money is just under $1 million. It's a damn good suburb, and a lot of people go there. Frankston North is starting to take some buyers from Frankston, which is quite interesting. But you do see it because it's a little bit of a cheaper price point. And Langwarrin, it's a big.
Langwarrin's been, and I think that surged really, really well. Like that middle tier. Anything between 1 to 1.25. So you got a lot of people that have been in that Langwarrin who brought in paid 350, 400. Their house is worth 900 to $1 million. They're looking to upsize.
It's a newer suburb too because it's further out from the water.
But it's also geographically, you look at the people and the demographic there.
Yeah.
A lot of people between 30 and 40. So it's taking off and people want a little bit more land. So I look at it this way, how we target market, and we do this really intensively for our campaigns. It's important for you to have an agent that's actually doing these things. So understanding your core area, but also around it is super, super important. So
knowing what sells, what, we know vaguely what, a 3-bed, 4-bed in pardon me, Langmore and Seaford, the sort of prices that they would achieve there versus Frankston South. And then you, like we talked about Mount Eliza, that these locations exist, but you've also got to, not just when you are launching your property, go, oh, well, this is my little street. It's like, well, hold on. Buyers aren't just looking at your little street in your little pocket that, yes, you might love. They're also going, hey, Mount Eliza is unlocked and I can get in the same sort of price point. Why would I go and buy your place versus these 5 others that are in a better location? And when the market kicks up, that's going to sell far better. So they're starting to think more logical because they do have more variety. It is what it is.
When you've got more choice, the hesitation's more prominent. And that's where you've got to be very, very clear when you have an agent that comes out. Just don't get them to promise you a price, because agents aren't custodians of, the sell price. But what they can do is absolutely give you the best thorough process to be able to achieve the best. And experience in this market counts more than ever.
Yeah.
Now, Josh, question to you. King's birthday, mate. Just went. Did you happen to watch the football yesterday?
I watched a little bit. Who won in the end? I didn't watch all of it. I watched the slide down for play on for Neil. I thought that was really awesome.
How good was? Did you hear about the Queensland couple?
Yeah, 40 mil.
They paid. They gave 10 mil. Went to the footy yesterday and they said, we're going to quadruple it and put in $40 million. That's insane for the research for MND. So
that's unreal.
I mean, Neil Danaher was an amazing, touched a lot of people's lives. And what was really resonated, what I saw and the message that came across so prominently was, even though he was sort of, he had this bad, disease that, crippled him and took his life. He played on. It was more about fighting the beast and not worrying about himself, but just being selfless and saying, let's bring awareness to a disease that is quite, it's common, and they're trying to find a cure for it. So, an amazing man of football. I must say, I did run into Kevin.
How was yours?
I'll get to mine, but I ran into Kevin Sheedy. This is going back probably about 10 years ago. And I was talking to him it was in Western Sydney, so no one knew him. This is when he was coaching the Giants. I reckon it was probably 2014, so 12 years ago. Anyway, we were talking about coaches, and I asked a question because I said, out of all the players that you've coached and who are now coaches, who's the best that you've had? And all the guys that I was with, Bomber Thompson had just, Bomber Thompson had coached this Geelong to a flag. And they were like, oh, Bomber would have to be. And you had Mark Harvey and a couple others. And I turned around and I said, Neil Danaher. And he went, yeah, spot on. He said, Neil Danaher took a side in 2000, and being an Essendon man, we won that flag quite comfortably. But Neil Danaher had a side that, apart from, say, Neitz and Schwartz and Jeff White, Trav Johnston was a young guy coming through. Really no-name sort of team. Yet we had this super team in that era. And he said Neil Danaher was amazing how he was able to, not only get a side to where they got with the lack of depth and talent. So, he was an amazing man. He believed in his people. He made that sort of impression to so many people that he met. So, to Neil's, legacy, it's amazing. Really is. So, but I had a great King's birthday. Went out for a walk along Mornington.
Nice.
Took the 2 little kids, played daddy daycare while my wife's in Denmark at the moment.
Yeah, that was half the reason we actually haven't done an episode last week. You were sick and had a viral ear infection, which was not fun, giving you some nice vertigo.
Yeah.
We would have, I was going to do one on my own, and I thought, no, that's just weird. It's just. However, the last time I did one on my own, I actually got the most amount of views. So
maybe you should,
the young
you should fly solo, Josh.
not the old bull.
The old bull doesn't have it. No, it was a good. It was a good long weekend. It was good just to spend time with the family and just recharge. Looking forward to a really, really strong finish for the end of financial year.
We've got a few inspections lined up.
Property of the week this week is 5 at 24 Muir Street in Frankston, or south of Frankston. So it's in between Carr Street and Cliff Road.
I like what you did there.
Yeah. Do you like that?
Yeah. South of Frankston.
South of Frankston.
Frankston suburb. But it is south of Frankston.
But to me, it's funny, that area, once again, you got that is a golden location. Right at the end of the street, you got properties that are selling for 7, 8, 9 million. And this one's
on the market for 2.5 right now.
Yeah. So. And this one's a 2-bedroom built in the 1970s. Second time for sale. And it's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, big laundry, open plan, front unit. Got a single carport, 545 to 595. Great entry level.
Can I take someone through there tonight?
Yes, you can.
I didn't know if they'd moved. I thought they'd moved out. I'd already booked in.
Tenants moved out, which was the family who we'd sold a house for. They moved into that. And they've now purchased the property. They've moved into that. So, house is vacant. Keys are on site.
No, geez, don't tell everyone that. Now they're going to get that.
No, we've got the lockbox segment, so easy done.
We have a property that is a very good one. Actually, I'm gonna float it, even though you just did property of the week. 11 at 13 Cliff Road has the beautiful Cliff Road address. A little apartment, 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. You're king of the castle. You're set up high. You're the top apartment. It is perfect. You've literally got the stairs right down to the beautiful water. You can go down to the beach.
Yeah,
you can walk straight into the CBD. It is perfect. I actually took 7 groups through that home pre-market over the weekend. So expect the first open this Saturday, just waiting on the contracts.
And we've got a couple of auctions scheduled. So we've got Violet Street, 30 Violet, 2 weeks. And in 3 weeks' time, we've got Muir Street going under the hammer. Yep. And we've got a lot of clients asking the question, should we auction? Happy to chat, DM, talk about the process. I think when you are selling, regardless whether you're a private sale or if you are selling, you're not just sort of dipping your toes in. If you're very clear on where you want to go, I think the best process right now is going to be auction, in my opinion.
What do you reckon the best 2 levers for the best sort of negotiation would be?
Price for an owner.
I think price and time. They're my two that I love dealing with. I think if you just go, I'm going to put this price on, and then you don't give any sort of next steps or parameters to the buyers around how quickly we're going to get this moving. Even little things like, hey, great news, owner's willing to close it off to the market.
Yeah.
They're going to do it even after it's only been a week. I'd love to keep opening this up. I'm meeting a lot of sellers and buyers
and neighbours.
But they're happy to do a deal. They've seen something else that they might want to purchase.
I totally agree, Josh, with what you said, the sentiments, because giving clear direction, you're nudging the buyers into hey guys, we've got this timeline. And this is
here's the track. This is where we're heading. And if you're on board, come on.
If you want to come on board, great. If you don't want to, well, then we're going to sell it to someone else. But when you have clear instructions like that, it makes it simple.
Once again, that comes from the owner. If they understand the feedback,
the owners are in control of that process.
Yep.
Yep.
So price and time, I think they're 2 big factors. If you want to keep it real,
as Ali.
Ali G.
Ali G said, we need the Ali G movie clip there. We should have keep it real. That was such a funny movie, that one.
But now I'm thinking about all the scenes.
But what I'm saying is, if you keep it real as a seller, keep it real as a buyer, keep it real. And guess what? For those people out there in the marketplace, it is still confident. There's great buying out there. Buyers are still buying. People have sold. They have to buy a house. There's people that are entering the market. There's people exiting out of the family home, looking to downsize. So we're going to see the ebbs and flows. And when things start to pick back up and they move, it's all going to be all systems go. So
what do you think about off market in this current climate?
Shit house. I think if you're going off market, to be honest, look, off market's like, hey, I want to go on a date with you.
Oh, I made the worst joke in inspection. Sorry, continue though.
I want to go on a date with you. Do you want to meet me at it's like saying to your wife, oh, look, I'll take you out, babe. I've booked a restaurant on Sunday at the richest joint, and around 5 o'clock you go, oh, yeah, I didn't book it in, but hey, you know what? How about we just go through the drive-through at Macca's?
So I made a really funny joke. You know when you're on, when you've got that cheek, and I know that because that's my personality. And these beautiful elderly couple came through. They lived in Mount Eliza. Probably wasn't the sort of demographic to say this on, but I did. They're like, I'm like, oh, so whereabouts are you guys coming from? I am Mount Eliza. Oh, beautiful part of the world. How long you guys been there? Just start the conversation. Oh, so like, why are you moved? Like, why are you moving from there? Like, just to see out. And they go, oh, we've only just started looking. I'm like, oh, that's like when you're going on the dating phase. You've just, you've gone on a couple of dates. You're just seeing the houses. And then when you're in the lust period, and now it's just about falling in love with the right one. Maybe this is the one. And I was like, this was not the audience.
No, probably 70. How old? 70?
The husband laughed. And then I made the joke. This got even worse. I said it was a beautiful place anyway. There's a wine room. And I said, well, if the hubby's a pain in the butt, he can walk in from where he parks, walks into the wine room and he can not come up. And if he's not happy with you, and she goes, never, we're never not. And I laughed but no, she joked by that point.
I think as we get older and I've met some really good mentors over the time is of the essence. So you cannot waste time.
Yeah.
So as I love dealing with older people, to be upfront, I should say mature people, because they just don't beat around the bush.
They know what they want.
They know what they want. If they want it, they'll go, yep, I want it. And if they don't want it, they'll go, no, not for us. Straight down the line. You got these people that are wishy-washy. Oh, I'll take your call. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Oh, how about I make a second inspection, blah, 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 blah. And then they come back through and then you go, oh, well, look, I love it. Straight down the line. I'm in, I'm out, boom. They're straight down the point.
I mean, my worst experience has been with an elderly lady that came through a house 5 times, and then I started to doubt my whole sales career and my ability. So I don't know about that.
There's some that are just groupies, Josh.
No, this was not a groupie. Like, we know the people that come through that are just there to have and pump up the numbers, and they love looking at properties and they love getting inspiration. And I actually love seeing them. This lady genuinely was serious about buying a house, came through, I think it was either 5 or 6 times. Bam, bam.
Bam, bam.
And it was
no deal.
At the end of it, I was like, am I the problem?
Hey, you know what? I always say, if you feel like you're losing, you're not. You're learning, and I teach that when never ever underestimate your You don't know what people are going through.
Yeah, that's true.
And some people don't know, so you can learn from that. So, like I said to you, your time is money.
I don't think you want to be I think in real estate, I don't think being really pushy can be over the top. I think people nowadays, there's so much out there that you've got the data, you've got the ability to use time.
I think it is. You have to have that. You have to read the play well, and I think it's important to understand that experience matters. So all the AI and all these tech, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, people are dealing with people.
Well,
so when they come in and they see a young guy like yourself and an old bull like me, they generally
go and talk to you because you're just so like.
Well, the older people will gravitate towards me because they just know that I'll just straight down the line. And you're
I'm not.
No, you are. You're cheeky and you have a bit of fun.
No, I'm joking.
But the good thing is you're very good at being able to communicate with all people.
The next time someone walks through a house, the first thing I'm going to say, guys, in property, I've learnt one thing. As Rookie Bobby says, if you ain't first, you're last. And that applies with this house right now. So very buy it or don't.
Keep it real. I love it. Let's finish on that. On behalf of Josh and I, we thank you for selling Frankston. Audience, if you like, subscribe, hit us up. I don't know if I got that right, but you know what? Just keep bang. Yep.
Close enough is near enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.